Hello friends, in this discussion we are going to look at the root mean square value of a 4-wave rectifier. The root mean square value of the output signal represents the effective or the equivalent DC value of the varying AC signal after rectification. So after rectification, what VRMS value do we have? Or if you have a DC output, what is its equivalent VRMS value when it was an AC signal? So now let's consider an AC voltage input V of t, which is represented by Vm sine omega t. So this is the function, and now when it is here, this is the Vm sine omega t, and this is the negative Vm sine omega t. So when I produce the DC output after 4-wave rectification, this is what I produce. I produce a pulsating DC voltage. Now, this is T, which is the period of this signal, and this is the same as T, and this is half of T. Now, if I look at this, I find that generally the function that I'm going to be producing for DC is going to be Vm sine omega t. Now, if I want the V average, we already said that this is equal to 1 out of, if I take only this, because this is repeated after T out of 2. So I'm going to use the root mean value theorem, which says that if I have 1 out of the period minus 0 or minus the starting point, okay, if I say that 1 divided by the period, this is going to be T out of 2 minus 0, because it is starting from 0 to T out of 2, then integrating from 0 to T out of 2 of Vm sine omega t with respect to T. This becomes the average value. We say the root mean value theorem says the average value of a function is equal to 1 out of b minus a integrating from a to b of f of x with respect to x. So if you recall your simple mathematics, this is the average value of a function. Now, if we proceed with this using Vm sine omega t, this is going to be 2 out of t integrating from 0 to t out of 2, Vm, let it go outside, sine omega t. Actually, let this Vm first remain inside, okay, so that we do some manipulation with respect to t. Now, when we talk about the VRMS, we're talking about the square root of the square of the average value. So this becomes 2 out of t, 0 to t out of t, to t out of 2, Vm sine omega t, everything squared with respect to t. Then we take square root of the average or of the mean. So in other words, we are taking square root of the squared of the mean value. This gives you the root mean squared. We first square the mean and then we take its root. That's what it means. So we proceed. Now, if I square both sides, I'll have VRMS squared equal to 2 out of t Vm squared, integrating from 0 to t out of 2 of sine squared omega t with respect to t. If I remember the first law of trigonometry, okay, I know that sine squared omega t plus cos squared omega t is equal to 1. And this cos squared omega t is equal to 1 minus sine squared omega t. This is 1, but I also know cos 2 omega t is the same as, okay, is the same as 1. This is the same as cos squared omega t minus sine squared omega t. So if I bring this in here, this means I'll have cos 2 omega t, which is equal to 1 minus, okay, 2 sine squared omega t. So meaning that sine squared omega t is the same as 1 minus cos 2 omega t divided by 2. So if I put, remember this, we can call it, let us call this A, and we call this B. So we put B in A. So that means your VRMS squared will equal to out of t Vm squared integrating from 0 to t out of 2 of 1 minus cos 2 omega t with respect to t. Of course, everything is divided by 2. Now, if I integrate that, I'll have VRMS squared equals to out of t. Remember, I have Vm squared. Okay, I'll have this by, if I integrate it, it will be t out of 2, okay, minus sine 2 omega t divided by 2 omega. So I'm moving from 0 to t out of 2. But remember, if we substitute in here, this VRMS squared will become 2 Vm squared out of t times, this will be t out of 2 times 2, okay, minus, of course, this will be, if I put in sine 2 omega t, you remember that omega is equal to 2 pi out of t. So if I put in t, I'll remain with sine, sine pi. So sine pi minus sine 0 divided by 2 times 2 pi, okay, divided by t is the same as 2 pi. So the whole of this still goes to 0. So remember, I was supposed to multiply by 2 Vm squared out of t, because I multiplied everything. So now, but this goes to 0, and then I'll have VRMS squared equal to 2 Vm squared divided by 4, which becomes, this is by 2 1 by 2 2. So I will have Vm out of 2. What does that mean? That the root mean square value of a 4-wave rectifier will be square root of Vm m squared divided by 2, and this gives you Vm divided by square root of 2. That's why for a full wave rectifier, VRMS is always equal to 70.7% of the peak voltage, because square root 1 out of root 2 gives you 70.7. So always the VRMS of a full wave rectifier, be it with a center tap, be it with a bridge rectifier, you always have your VRMS being Vm out of root 2.